Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
You can't really excuse other stuff just because, well, they tried.
Listen, man, I really like this film. I think this is the last great swashbuckling film.
Quite arguably the best filmmaker of our generation.
And then they like it and they tell their friends and it kind of balloons from there. But when you're...
Do free plugs during the show?
Let's do a video game. It's probably true.
Hey, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences, whether it's because a more popular movie came out at the same time, or perhaps the film we're talking about didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, and decide whether the movie is worth a revisit. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to it. So before we talk about the movie, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
So we're going to talk about...
Stop following a format, man.
I'm not following a format because I don't have any dislikes in this time around. Like, I know we're going to go over stuff in the movie, but I was listing, like, okay, dislikes. I'm like, I don't really dislike anything in any of the movies that we do. I never really hate stuff or like, oh, that's stupid. I may have questions about stuff in the movie, or maybe something maybe didn't work, but I don't know. I think I'm being too harsh when I say I dislike things in the movie. Do you feel that way when we talk about whatever movie we talk about?
Back, there's not a lot. I mean, we choose these movies because we enjoyed them. There was something about them that we liked.
Right.
Because I mean, there's stuff in the first one we did, which we'll never release, Sphere, where there were certain things that I definitely did not like anymore.
Right. With all the movies we do, I never really. So I kind of cut out the dislikes. I still have things that I'll be like, that didn't work. But I'm never going to sit there and be like, I hated this part of the movie.
I mean, I think I have the same notes. There's nothing about this film.
Or any films.
Yeah, I can't think back to any of the films where it's like something I hated. Like
right.
Dislike, maybe disagreed with. Yeah, nothing I hated.
So this week, what we're going to be doing is a movie that I don't know when you saw this movie, but I saw this movie when I was 15 years old. You know what? I don't even know if I saw it when I was 15. I saw it when I was in my formative teenage years. And that is the 1990 party movie, House Party.
Oh, yeah.
So Mike's going to break it down.
All right. So in this film, a pretty simple plot.
Yes, it is. But and much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole plot is just there's a young man named Kid who's in high school. Him and his friends.
Well, Kid is his, I don't want to say
Kid is his nickname,
his hip hop name in real life and in the movie.
In the film, yeah. So his name is Christopher, but he goes by Kid. Him and his friend Peter, or Play, part of their Kid and Play, they are trying to put on a party at Play's house because his parents are going to be gone for the weekend. So they enlist the help of their friend Bilal, played by Martin Lawrence, to DJ for this party and invite everybody from the school to just throw this big party, which for some reason is on a school night. And hijinks happen, and the whole movie is basically based around Kid trying to get into this party, trying to get to this party because his father has grounded him because he got in a fight in school and he's not allowed to get into this party. So most of the party takes place either in the party with Play or is about Kid trying to get into the party and the hijinks that he gets into trying to get there.
Yeah, so like I said before, I saw this movie when I was 15, 16, 17, around there. I don't remember seeing this movie in the theaters, but I do remember seeing it on like at home on VCR, VHS kind of thing. So it's a movie basically about, as you said, teenagers looking to have a party and hook up.
Yep.
And I think
Kid trying to get there.
Exactly. So as we like to do, get into some production facts. You know what? I'm not even going to give a spoiler disclaimer because you should have already seen this movie. This movie was released on March 9th, 1990. It was a limited release. It had a wide release on March 23rd. So they put it out in the theaters, did well. Then they made it wider. It kept going, which is, probably a movie that they didn't really know how it would play out.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon the pun. It's rated R, which I didn't even think about it being rated R. I don't know why.
No, because yeah.
I mean, once you watch it again, yes, it is rated R, but like I didn't even think about that. It's 100 minutes, which is nice, especially for a comedy. So the weekend it was released, March 9th, limited, it went up against, I don't know if you remember, I know you remember this one, Joe versus a Volcano.
Yep.
Okay.
Love it. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Okay.
Oh, you don't?
I have not seen Joe versus a Volcano in quite some time. And Bad Influence. I have seen Bad Influence. That's okay.
I don't know if I've
That's
seen
with
that.
James Spader. So when this movie came out on wide release, it was, so I'm sorry, let me go back. So March 9th.
Mhm.
So just to give you an idea of what was coming out around it, maybe why, because I don't think this is forgotten in terms of like nobody watched it when it came out, because it was popular.
Right.
I mean, a movie, if it spawns 4 sequels, it's popular. So I think it's more that it was forgotten. I think we're saying is that it's been so long. It's been what? Let me do the quick math here. Almost 30 years.
Yep.
So it's been a while. I'm sure there's people that we work with. I guarantee you tonight there's people that we work with or we mentioned this movie. They will not know what we're talking about.
Well, see, maybe because the reason I know about this movie is I saw it probably around 14, 15, because it used to play on Comedy Central all the time.
What year was that?
That would have been 2000, probably 3 and up.
Okay. All right.
Early 2000s.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those cult classics. It's one of those movies that you could probably catch on, like you said, Comedy Central,
Right.
like, annually or every couple of months. It's always there, but you're always seeing the edited version.
Right. This is the
Right.
first time I've seen the.
Oh, really?
Because you said like, oh, it's rated R. I didn't think it would be rated R
Yeah,
either
yeah.
because it didn't seem like they cut too much.
I've never seen the edited version, so yeah, good. That's good. Then you can have a better perspective of that movie. All right, so like I said, March 9th was its limited release. March 2nd, the week before The Hunt for Red October came out, great film.
Mm-hmm.
The week after this movie came out, March 16th, was The Forbidden Dance, no. Lambada, no. Blue Steel, another no. And The Lord of the Flies, which is okay. And then the week of March 23rd, when this came wide, March 23rd opened Pretty Woman. So you know how big Pretty Woman
Yeah.
was. All right. So when it was, so it's limited run, it made 4.6 million that opening weekend. It's wide release, it made 3.5, and then March 23rd made 3.2. The reason why I kind of did those 3 weeks, so 4.5, 3.5, almost 3.5 again, was most of the time when movies come out, there's an expected percentage drop off from opening week to second week. Typically, it's 60%.
Yeah.
If it's usually 40 to 60. Let's be fair. This movie did not have a big drop off. You're talking like maybe 20%, which is it's rare, and it's an indication that this movie is a good movie, or it was popular.
Yeah.
People liked it. People wanted to see. People were telling their friend, "Hey, I just saw House Party. You should go see this movie the next week." That's a good indication, which is probably why it went wide and why it obviously spurned 4 sequels. It all totaled 26.5 million. I don't have in terms of its total domestic run. It was not released internationally. I don't know. I don't know what the budget was. I looked it up and it
Can't
wasn't
be
a lot.
much.
No,
Can't be more than a couple million.
No, I don't think so. No, it wasn't. All right, it was written and directed by Reginald Hudlin, who he did more recently. He's done a lot of TV, but more recently he did the movie Marshall. Did you see Marshall? About Thurgood Marshall?
I didn't.
It's good.
I didn't,
It's good. He did Boomerang. He has a long and storied and well-respected career. He's got a lot of stuff that he's done that's been very funny. I believe he did Everybody Loves Chris. I think he did the first episode.
I really like everybody.
So
Loves Chris.
he's extremely, extremely talented. Cast as Mike, you went through the leads, right? Kid and Play.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kid,
so
Play, Martin
Kid-
Lawrence.
So
Bilal.
Yep. Tisha Campbell plays Sydney, who is Kid's love interest in this. Back and forth. And then Robin Harris plays Pop, who died 9 days after this movie was released. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I did know. I was like, he was in a lot of stuff back in like the 80s and 90s.
Well, Robin, he's a big time comedian. And
Yeah.
a lot of his stuff in the movie is improv. A lot of his lines.
Oh, like when he goes through the party?
Yeah, him and the neighbor, John Witherspoon.
I love when John. Yeah, John.
I couldn't stop.
Witherspoon
Yeah,
stuff is really
there's a line where I couldn't stop laughing. I was just like, I forgot the line, but like he had said it, and I was just like. So I have other notables because those are kind of like the main cast, and obviously I didn't write down the woman that played Shireen.
AJ Johnson.
Okay, there you go. Good on you, because I for some reason did not write that down. So Daryl Chill Mitchell, who's and the whole reason he's chill is because he's from Groove Beat Chill. Everyone might know him from Galaxy Quest as Tommy, right?
Yep.
Tommy.
Yep.
George Clinton from Parliament and then from Funkadelic. Kelly Jo Minter, who I know from Summer School. Do you remember? Did you ever see Summer School? That's a movie that we should put on the list because that movie. I'm going to tell you right now, that movie's not. Summer School is not like. I'm not going to sit here and say that Summer School is fantastic, but there's so many things I remember from Summer School. It's ridiculous. Like there's a line at Summer School where Mark Harmon. Do you know what the plot is?
No.
All right, so basically, Mark Harmon is a teacher, and at the end of the school year, all the teachers are trying to go on vacation, and the principal's looking for someone to teach summer school, and nobody wants to do it. And he basically gets Mark Harmon, he bribes him, or he has something over him to teach summer school. But in back, summer school is obviously quote unquote the rejects of the school, right. So he has to sit there, and he doesn't want to do any of it. He wants nothing to do with it. So they're all smart asses, and they're all, jocks that don't pay attention. They're all people that just don't care. I think one kid is like always shows up to class. He's always asleep, but you find out that he is stripping late at night, like to make money. And there's like a whole thing where like his mom goes to the club. But anyways, so Mark Harmon has the one line where he's like, "Oh, everyone take your seats." And these two dudes go like, they pick up their seats, like, "Where should we take them?" And I've always remembered that line. I know it's corny. That might need to be one of our movies. But anyway, so I always remember Kelly Jo Minter from Summer School. I don't know why. I just always remember her from that. And she played she was the girl in the car when Play comes to pick up Palau, and he's like, "Oh, you pick him up," and they start yelling at each other. No, yeah, they start yelling. He starts yelling. Yep. And he's like, "Get out of the seat!" Okay,
I'm not afraid to punch a girl.
All right, so I'm the one that suggested this movie, right? Because we were talking about the movie, and I'm the one, right? Yeah, and I had mentioned before why, and I'll just say it again. I suggested the movie because it was very in terms of wanting to be a teenager and wanting to like go to a party, meet a girl, hook up like that. I mean, that wasn't my entire formative years of being a teenager, but I like that. When you're that age and you're a boy and you're a guy and or a girl and you want to go out and have fun like that. And that's what House Party was. It was just about having a good time.
Right.
I mean, granted, two white dudes from the suburbs can't relate to a lot of the stuff in the movie in terms of just kind of like the experience of being a black teenager in America.
Right.
But what I think I relate to, and maybe you relate to when you watch the internet, is just the fact that I just want to have fun, want to have a good time. And this movie has so many quotable quotes, I think of when certain situations pop up, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's from House Party. I don't know why. It's just something that always stuck with me.
Right.
That's why I suggested this movie. Now I'm curious because I can start sprinkling the random thoughts and facts in here from it. The one thing that I didn't realize was that this was originally for the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. Did you know that this movie was created for them?
Oh no, I didn't.
So this movie is based. Well, I should say this. This movie is based on Hudlins did a short for his Harvard thesis. Was this movie? It was a short that was basically House Party.
Okay.
So that won awards, and then they were going to make it into a feature. So he developed into a feature. So then Will Smith at the time, who was the Fresh Prince of and DJ Jazzy Jeff, had done a song called "A Nightmare on My Street," which New Line sued them and said, like, basically sued them. You're ripping off the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
I always thought that was they did that for the film.
No, they got sued.
I didn't know that. I always thought that was part of.
Well, I mean, maybe revisionist history. Yeah.
Oh man.
So they got sued, and one of the and New Line won the lawsuit. And one of the stipulations of the lawsuit was they had to be in a New Line film, and then they wanted them to be in this movie. And Hudlin was like, "No, you're not taking my movie." I would assume he said this. You're not using my movie for your litigation scheme to get these guys because you just want to make money off of them.
Right.
Good on him. Good. So I guess he won out, and it went to Kid and Play.
Did he always have Kid and Play in mind?
I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. I mean, this was done. So this came out in the 90s. This was shot 89. This is when like Kid and Play was starting to get popular. Like their big song, which I always remember, "What Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody," was after this. So
okay, they
were popular. They were coming up. So this probably helped because after this movie, I know I talked to you about this off air. I remember seeing Class Act because after I saw House Party, I went to the theater to see Class Act. So I must have seen this in the theater. And then I saw House Party 2. And then there were a bunch of other things. I know that when we talked to Andrew from our friend from the Nomcast, which you guys should check out.
Absolutely.
Because we're on one of the episodes. So as soon as I said, "Oh, we're doing House Party," he was like, "Pajama Jammy Jam," which is from House Party 2.
Yep.
So yeah. So there you go. I mean, it filters into your everyday life. All the quotes from House Party.
Right.
And House Party 2. So I didn't ever realize that it was originally meant for, at the time, Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Now, the scene at the beginning,
When the house
when they raise the roof and the roof actually they blow the roof off, which I like. Was that actually part of Hudlin's original film? Because it looks different than the rest of the film.
I don't know.
One of my notes.
I don't know. I kind of looked for the short online, but I didn't. But I didn't look hard enough, and I probably fell asleep looking for it. Although I would.
Can we make this note?
I will report saying that I was able to watch House Party in one sitting.
We should make that part of the podcast. Did Mike watch it in one sitting or not?
That's the last question. Finally, did you finish this movie in one sitting? No, I was able to, which was good. And I had to make sure that I didn't, because there was a lot of curse words, which I appreciate. But I had to make sure it wasn't too high so the kids didn't hear them. But like at this point, I think they know them all. Not from me, but I think they know them all at this point. I swear I'm a good father.
I didn't think there was that much cursing. There was some, but not too much. More than I thought there would have been, because again, I've watched it on Comedy Central.
Well, I think I'm sure in the edited version they had very little of the stuff at the end where his kid was trying to, and Sydney were together in her bedroom.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of that. They definitely didn't have the when she takes her pants off.
Yeah. Oh no, of course.
I was like, whoa.
Did you also know that they filmed the house parties actually at Play's real life home in LA? That's where they filmed this.
That's cool.
That tells me indie all the way, which, hey, I appreciate the independent feel of it. Well, what did you, because a lot of stuff that I liked in this movie was also, I think, one of the big likes about this movie was the 90s nostalgia. So I'm 15 at this time. I keep saying this, but I graduated. So 89 is when I graduated middle school. So I'm going into high school.
Okay.
So that's when this movie comes out. Basically, this is me growing up. So like the acid wash jeans, the Velcro key wallet that Play has in the beginning when he's like, I got the house, that thing. Yep. You see the rotary phone, because I don't think anyone remembers a rotary phone anymore. But just kind of like the clothing, the stuff, the music, everything, like the 90s nostalgia of it. Rewatching it, because I haven't seen House Party in quite some time, was kind of like what I was feeling when I was watching this.
Right.
So I'm curious, like what kind of stood out to you upon your rewatch?
Upon my rewatch, I really like the 90s. I mean, the 90s rap is so different from kind of rap today.
That New Jack Swing.
Yeah, I really like that.
Well, this is before, like this is when like hip hop was, like, let's have a good time kind of thing. Let's party. Let's, and then kind of became like, the Chronic, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all that stuff. And it just became more, Tupac and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I am not an expert at the hip hop scene, absolutely. Obviously. So I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I do
appreciate that kind of style of hip hop. I like the clothing. I was 89. I would have been too.
You can't relate to the Velcro wallet?
I can absolutely relate to the Velcro wallet because, again, Velcro throughout the 90s, the Velcro wallet was a thing. It wasn't until
I totally forgot about it too. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Holy shit!" I
had a few Velcro that. Wallets. Yeah. And a lot of stuff I watched, growing up was like Fresh Prince, Family Matters, Full House, all these old early 90s sitcoms and stuff like that. So, seeing all this stuff kind of, again, is like, oh, yeah, all right.
It is.
I grew up watching 80s films and 90s films and, maybe I was young back then, but I was still around. So that the nostalgia was there. I mean, maybe I didn't relate to the teenager part, like being a teenager in the 90s, but the rest of it, the style and the look and stuff like that.
I got you. Well, one of the things that not to cut you off, one of the things that I always, in movies, any movie that deals with a huge party, I never went to a high school party that big. Now, I'm not saying that I wasn't. I just didn't. I don't know if I didn't care that much. I mean, I'm gonna break it down for you. I played sports. I played basketball in high school. I worried too much. I focused on my grades a lot, so I was doing a lot of stuff. And also, I would just watch TV shows. I would tape. I had a double VCR action. Trying to make sure. Back then, you couldn't just DVR something. You could DVR things out. You couldn't record things at the same time on two different channels. You had to have two VCRs for that, which I would. To record, make sure I got like the Quantum Leap episode and then that X-Files episode, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So not that they were on the same day. So I never could, but when I went to parties or when I hung out with friends, never went like these parties that are depicted in these movies. I never experienced. And maybe that's just because I missed out. Never experienced a party like House Party. Never experienced a party like Can't Hardly Wait. Or like even like Project X, which
that's even that's more than the house.
But that's based. Project X is based on a real life issue in Australia, real life party in Australia.
that's
I mean, probably not that, obviously it's a movie, but
right.
like the only party scene I can ever relate to in a movie is the Dazed and Confused party when they go into the woods and they're drinking beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that I did that a lot, but like, that's just like, hey, let's go hang out and just chill.
That's hangout.
That's it. Never like these, like, obviously never like these coordinated dance routines and stuff like that. But that's the beauty of the movies is like, you can have that stuff.
They probably had more people in that house party than I had my entire high school class.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
In a really small space.
It's funny though, because like when they're dancing and when they're, when they sit and they're all sweating, it's like, yeah, because that's what it's like.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah, they sit down.
Yeah.
You never see that in other movies. Like they get tired of dancing and they just sit down and they're sweating.
Well, I'm wondering because if it's an indie, I shouldn't say it's an indie, but it's a movie that had a small budget that, they're all in there shooting. They're in his real life. They're not in a studio.
The sweat's real.
I'm thinking that like, it probably like, it's just super hot and they're just like, let's just play with it. Let's just go with it. And that's what it is. And it's like, but honestly, that's what it is. Like you can't, like everyone's dancing, but like you need to sit down because you're freaking dripping in sweat. Like,
absolutely.
Not that, like I said, not that I went to a lot of these parties, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I've been to, in college, I would go to like, a college party or something like that. And it was packed, but it was like, you couldn't move. You couldn't walk anywhere. You're stuck in the corner with like a stupid red Solo cup and you're just sitting there and you're like cramped and people are trying to get by. It's not enjoyable. It's never been enjoyable. This is an anti-party episode.
Play.
Hey, Lachey, how you doing?
Don't you have any refreshments around here? Some soda or potato chips, something?
Oh, wow, you should have got here earlier. I had everything. Liter bottles, potato chips, the whole shebang. Brothers went through it.
I always get here too late for the snacks.
Oh, there's a store right up the street. Anything you want, help yourself. Mama should have fed you before you got here. This ain't no soup kitchen.
My point was that only in movies will you experience parties like this.
Right.
And that's great.
There are parts of the party, though, that are very relatable.
Like the dance off. You've danced off before?
I've danced off big time, yeah. No.
Okay, well, like what?
Well, I like the bathroom scene, and the guy takes the turd in the toilet, and then he's got to break it up. Step on it. And all his friends leave him. Plays left with this giant turd in a broken toilet. They're dancing. They're sitting down on the thing. Plays answering the door. He's talking to his friends, but it never gets like obnoxious. It's very realistic in terms of the way everybody relates to each other and talks to each other at the party. I think that's pretty much like how those parties are, and no one's drinking, like there's not like a ton of booze and stuff, like because in high school there's maybe you get a couple people that pregame beforehand. But
oh please,
you're not getting these giant keggers for high school students, which a lot of films, when they do party scenes, it's like these high school kids are getting more beer than a bar suddenly.
Yeah, and it ain't that easy. I don't care how people talk about how like, oh, we used to get drunk back then. No, it's never been easy to get beer when you're underage. Right. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's a disservice that movies do for kids. They think it's that's like in Teen Wolf when he goes and gets the keg. They're all trying to get the keg. Yep. And like at the end before the movie begins, there's like 28 people rolling kegs in. It's like, I'm sorry, it's not that easy.
No, exactly. So yeah, I like that. The way that they act kind of seems more or less real, especially the way Shireen and Sydney kind of act, and even Kid and Play and trying to get the girls. How teenagers kind of react to each other when they like each other, or
right.
They're just trying to hook up and stuff like that. Seems more or less real than teenagers in love, kind of like just infatuated with this person. It's like this big romantic love story, like they're gonna get married and have kids because of this party at the end of this party and stuff like that. This is just Kid and Play want to hook up with someone. Sydney and Shireen want to hook up with somebody.
Yep.
And
they both want to hook up with Kid.
Well, right. And then at the end of the movie, they figure out who they're gonna hook up with, and you're left with Kid and spoiler alert, Kid and Sydney kind of end up together.
Spoiler alert.
Kid and Sydney end up together, but it's not like this true love kind of romance thing. It's just teenagers kind of starting to go out and get to know each other, which I appreciate as well, because it doesn't leave them this big grandiose kind of, ooh, yeah.
Which is funny because they're all 25, 28 years old in this movie.
Oh, can we talk about how the bullies are easily 35? With full mustaches and beards.
Obviously, but that's not unheard of.
Right, that happens a lot, yeah.
Right, and to your point about that, so you make the reference that you have movies now that talk about like, lovey-dovey and like, falling in love and
right.
Okay. So now a lot of those people, like when you watch movies now, age has gone down. So you have 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds playing high school kids now, right?
more or less. Yeah.
Right. And then, so let's go to this movie where you have 28-year-olds playing 16, 17-year-olds. It's almost like the younger actor tries to play older, tries to have more, I guess,
Gravitas.
adult. Yeah, but I meant like when I mean adult, like more adult feelings or more adult emotions, just the adult in terms of like the experience.
I can see that.
So like they've experienced these emotions already. Like when you're a teenager, a legit teen, you may think you experience these emotions or you have these emotions, but you have no context in terms of like, you know, in terms of just kind of like the greater picture of living in the world as you know, a young adult.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but like, so somebody like, you know, like Christopher Reeve and Christopher Martin, those, you know, Christopher Martin's play. So more like Kid and Play.
Yeah.
Who are trying to, hey, we're just going to be high school kids. Remember when we're in high school, we're trying to have fun. Like they can look back and try to play it as, you know, like we just want to hook up. Like I'm sure that's the note, right? Rather than just a 19-year-old, 20, you're playing a 16-year-old, but you've fallen in love with this young man. And, you know, it's like, it's not, I want a movie like House Party as compared, or Can't Hardly Wait as compared to a movie like, I don't know. I can't even think of like one of the movies like The Fault in Our Stars or something like that.
What's the one that just came out with John Cena, where he's trying to stop his daughter.
Oh, Blockers?
Blockers, right. So in Blockers, I mean, I like Blockers a lot. Blockers was pretty funny, but even then, the kids, they wanted to get laid and get, you know, messed up. And
True.
But they still kind of seemed a little bit older and wiser than they should have at the age that they are. Like even a film like that. So I think you're onto something there, that an older person can look back and know, yeah, I didn't know anything back then, so let me play it like that. Whereas a younger person goes, I know everything. Right. You know.
And I will say this, like the counter argument to what I'm saying is also, you know, there is so much information now out there. There's so many ways and devices to get the information that you need in terms of like to answer your questions as a teenager. Right. That maybe you mature in a way faster than you would back in the early 90s. Could you make that argument? I mean,
I suppose you could.
Because to your point about Blockers, my whole thing with Blockers is there's two different movies. It's the parents movie and it's the kids movie. It's like, right, pick one. I think I would have liked it better, or I would think it would have been stronger if you picked one story or the other. And I like Blockers because I like the fact that it's three girls that are trying to, basically it's like the reverse of everything you saw in the 80s and 90s, with like it's always the guys trying to get laid. It's three girls that are trying to get laid. Yeah, right. That's great. I wanted to see that, more of that. Right. Not in a pervy way, in a way.
In a way, yeah, a comedy way.
Right. Mind you that I have a 12-year-old daughter, so I do not want to see any of that.
Right. So like 2 years from now, your mind's gonna be completely different.
When we see movies like that and they're 16-year-old girls and they're like doing all that stuff, I turn to my wife and I'm like, that's gonna be our daughter in a couple years. She's like, shut up. Which it won't be, because I will be all over that.
No. You're gonna be like scene in Martin Lawrence and Will Smith in Bad Boys 2.
Oh,
you ever had sex with a man? You want to?
Yes, absolutely. My dream is to have to go into a party of teenagers as she's there and pull her out, and that's my dream. And I have to be like, Dad's here. And that's my big dream. And if I could do that, then that's a bucket list item. I want to pull my daughter out of a high school party and embarrass the heck out of her. You have been warned.
Kind of like Pop in House Party.
Absolutely. I am Pop walking the streets looking for my kid. Although, get in the car.
Have you heard of My Old Neighborhood, fresh out of Compton? I'm getting homesick. I love that one.
He's hilarious.
Go home, pal.
Yeah, go. You don't know who you fucking with. I'm from a small town called Fresh Off a Cop's Ass. You're making me homesick.
But that's the other thing. There's so many, like what I talked about before, there's so many quotes. There's so many quotable quotes. The funniest one that I couldn't stop laughing at is when is mostly John Witherspoon. It's when he calls not when he calls 911, but that's the first one where he's like, 911, yeah, I'll hold.
What are you doing?
Calling the police.
For what?
These kids are driving me crazy with all this damn noise.
Call them on yourself. You the one making all the noise.
I got the wrong number too, baby. Hold on 1 second. Oh, dance now with your big ass. Go dance. 911. I'll hold.
Like that when he's just like that, that real quick one. But then when he wakes up at the end and his wife's like, "Come back to bed, Harry," and he's like, "Harry."
Oh, baby. Police been here and they still down there dancing. Oh, come back to bed, Harry. Harry.
I love when he goes, "Get here as soon as you can, goddammit." But why are you swearing to me? Who the fuck are you swearing to me? God damn you.
And he's yelling at all the kids going into the party. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Hey, hey baby, how you doing? So, and then she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "No, honey, come up to this window. Maybe you find somebody too."
No, that was great. And the I don't know why this line made me laugh too. So when they get into the fight in the beginning, the bullies, what was his name? Stab. I think that's his name, the head guy. And the principal's like, "Now, why would you call his mom a garden tool?" Like when she said, "Call my mom a hoe." Yeah, I know. But yeah, you're right. He is like 48 in that movie.
That's ridiculous. It's like, why is he? Well, maybe he's just really dumb. I also love the line when they're in the Jeep and they're talking about, "He just makes me so mad. Every time I'm making love to a woman, I just picture him." And he's like, "Word?"
He's like, "I don't know about that." And he's like, "I don't know about you."
Yo, I'm telling you, man, ever since this fool came into my life, I can't do nothing but see him, man. I mean, I'll be alone with a woman sometimes, and I'm damn near about ready to wax that ass, and all I can do is vision this fool, man. Word? Word. I don't know about that. I don't know about you. Too far.
And that's the other thing. I didn't really remember, because the movie's called House Party, and I didn't realize that they weren't in the house that long. Like how long do you think they were in the house during a 90-minute movie? Half hour? I guess that's enough.
About a half hour.
Because I forgot that he takes her to her house. They walk Shireen home. They take him to Sydney's house. He gets in jail.
I had forgotten how much takes place after the party.
Right.
But I noticed the one guy who comes after the party, he's late and he slams the door on him. He's wearing his pajamas. Is that like a hint of the sequel? Is that a hint of the Pajama Jam?
The Pajama Jammy Jam? House Party 2 when they go to college?
Absolutely. It seems like a hint.
They all go to the same college?
That's how it works in the Hollywood world.
I forgot what House Party 3 is about. I didn't see 4 and 5, but I forgot what 3 is about.
Isn't 3 where there's the mansion? They're trying to put get the mansion for the weekend, like the big house.
Maybe I saw it, but I don't remember what it's about. Like I remember more of Class Act than I do of House Party 3.
I also might just be thinking of Class Act.
No, Class Act they don't like each other. They're rivals or something. They're not friends in Class Act.
Was there a big house in Class Act at all?
Was House Party 2? Which one was the one that ended at the Wax Museum? Was that House Party 2?
Might be House Party 2.
Or was that 3? See, again, like there's like
they just all blend together. I mean, I know that when they're wearing pajamas, it's number 2, but that's about it.
Obviously. So the other big things that stood out to me rewatching was the dance off and the rap off, which is basically why I was there. Like when they start performing like back to back, which is great, and then when they had the coordinated dance number, but it's fine. I'm like, yep.
Now, did you notice that whenever they cut to the girls, it's a medium shot or a wide shot, like you see them dancing. When they cut to Kid and Play, there's a lot of close-ups, an awful lot of close-ups where you can't see if it's them or not.
Oh, it's them. I think that's because they're showing you their footwork, because that's what they're known for, is their footwork.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I get that because there are some scenes where they're doing the footwork, and then there are other scenes where all of a sudden now it's getting really close. I'm like, are they cutting out? Is that extra? It's like,
I think I primarily think it's just to highlight their footwork, to highlight their dancing. That's why.
He definitely does. The Kid definitely slides under Play.
Yeah,
in a couple.
Well,
that's
what they're known for. That's part of what they're known for is that kind of like their concerts are like that. Not that I've been to any, but I'm a very sheltered person. But yeah. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I probably not. Do you know that they're going to try? There's going to be another one, or like they're trying, like LeBron James, and his entertainment group, his production house
Party 5
announced in early 2018 that they're developing a new House Party movie with the guys that created Atlanta, TV show Atlanta. So
who are going to be
I don't know.
They're going to have to find new young.
I don't know, because 4 and 5 don't have. Did 4 and 5 feature like an artist, like hip hop artist, like a duo?
I don't think 4 does. No, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe they're gonna try to do something like that. But I mean, this is almost
Atlanta's really good. So
but can you really do? I don't think you can do the same style, because I'm gonna say like House Party is so representative of
the time.
that time.
Right.
Can you really do that same style of, hey, let's just have fun and hook up now?
It's not about that anymore.
Right. I mean, the climate has changed. Social climate's changed. So I don't think you can. I mean, I think you can do a version. I don't know if you can replicate that, though. I don't think you should, but yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool if they did. Just kids wanting to have a good time, not worrying about, it's not a movie about drugs and alcohol. It's not about getting fucked up. It's about having fun.
Right.
But I feel like party movies now are just about the getting fucked up part.
Well,
the hijinks that come from that.
What's the most recent, like what, Project X? That's the most
X,
recent one I can think of.
Lockers. It was a lot of like drug stuff and like, oh yeah, let's take this. Let's try. It's like not a lot of teenagers are like that. Yeah, maybe they'll drink during parties. I mean, I don't go to parties. I hate people.
But maybe we're just really big nerds that we're not on the scene as cool hip kids. We don't understand it.
I mean, you go to parties even in college, you got people that, drinking. And maybe a couple of people smoking weed, but like everybody in the party is suddenly dropping all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's really what party movies are nowadays. It's like, let's take this. Oh,
so do you think
even like Euro Trip, which is like 15 years old now?
Oh wow,
it still has stuff like that. So I don't know.
Which has the best song in it.
I love Euro Trip. We should put Euro Trip on there. Euro Trip is my house party.
Really?
Kind of.
Really?
Like kind of underrated.
So you had a girlfriend in high school that slept with someone else, and they did a song
Matt
about
Damon.
it.
Pierced up Matt Damon. A clearly 40-year-old pierced up Matt Damon.
Butler doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
Yeah, is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I see it. I see what you're saying there. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just nerds. Maybe we're not cool. That could be it.
That's all. That's probably it.
I mean, we are doing a movie podcast, so there is some evidence to suggest that.
I also do a beer podcast.
I don't crack one open.
I also do.
Don't do free plugs during the show.
I also do a video game podcast. It's probably true.
You're a nerd.
Keep talking about what we like and stuff like that. Let's talk.
You could
I'll bring
talk
up
about
something
that you didn't
not
like.
To say I hate because I don't like dislike anything.
Right.
But there's some parts where I kind of like rolled my eyes at some of the more. So it's the word I'm looking for. Like when they do like the after school specials, like the more you know kind of a thing. They do a lot of.
When do they
like
do that?
So when one of them's drinking beer, I can't remember.
This is at the party.
At the party, and they're like, "Oh, you take this stuff, man. You should be drinking this stuff. It makes you dick hard all night.
Right.
It makes you feel like a god." And he's drinking a beer, and it's like, "Man, I don't touch that stuff." And it's like,
what's wrong with that?
It's like but it comes across a little too kind of lesson of the week, kind of. I think.
Oh, I didn't think that at all.
And there's a couple of times that they do that in the film, and I was like,
I don't think that at all. I mean, I thought if anything, that shows you how he, loves his father, because his father is obviously strict, and obviously is like, he's all on top of him to make sure that he, I love when he's like, eat your breakfast. It's like everything's out there, has made everything for him.
right.
And then he goes and takes care of it. It's them two together. I didn't think that. I didn't see that at all. I mean, that's fine.
I get that. It's just a couple of times they do it, and it's the way he says it kind of seems like a star should be going across his head.
So what?
Again, it's not. I got you. It's just
no.
Something
I know.
That I was like,
okay.
Payne is his name, the guy drinking the beer, because then my note is I love when Payne passes out and they drag him to his house.
Oh, yeah.
They don't just throw him on the lawn; they put him against the door. They close the screen door on him, and they knock on the door.
That's good
and
friends.
his mom's like, "Payne, is that you?" She opens the door, and he just boom down on the ground. I love that scene. I thought that was great.
They're good friends.
I mean, they are good friends. They do take care of each other. They, they argue and they fight, but then they get back.
That's what good friends do, man.
It's true. It's true. I also liked how Kid steps up to the bullies kind of a lot more than in most movies. Most movies like, oh, it's the bully. Let's just cower in fear or just get beat up for no reason. It's like Kid from the get-go in the cafeteria, like, oh, man, I'm sorry. Can I get you the milk? Yeah, he cowers a little bit, but then when he insults his mom, Kid immediately tries to throw the Jell-O, hits him in the nut. Like, he doesn't just stand there and take it. Which I like, because in real life, you wouldn't just sit and get punched. Like, no matter what, you would try to defend yourself or fight back or something like that. And he kind of does that, and he kind of gets his licks in as well, making fun of them, punching the other guy in the balls during the gala event.
Yeah, the thing with the bullies is that they're not the main crux. It's almost like they're not the main conflict in this. They're just kind of like another set of characters.
So.
There really isn't any kind of main conflict. I mean, you do have the asshole cops, which are obviously, says a lot. It's only about them having a good time and hooking up, and the other stuff like the bullies and the cops and stuff like that.
They're obstacles. There's no real
Right.
antagonist.
Right. What else?
Oh, one thing I love, and I don't know why I love it so much, when they're chasing Kid at the end, after the party, and they're in the alleyway behind a couple of the houses and stuff like that, and the dumpsters, and all of a sudden they run into the possum, and the possum hisses at them.
Yeah.
I just lost it for some reason. That got me so well. Like I just
And he kills it.
oh, he beats the crap out of it with the bat. It's a rat, which clearly it's a possum. I just freak out.
Yeah.
One of the things that really places it in time is every time Kid's trying to get a phone call from like Play. And he's got to get on the phone, and then he's got to go, all right, Dad, I'm taking a phone call upstairs.
Oh,
Dad's gotta
yeah,
put the phone down
absolutely.
until he picks it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the phone call. Like that just now with everybody with cell phones, like that doesn't happen.
It was
like,
such a big thing when you had call waiting. Beep, I got another phone call. Hang on. I mean, and you're like, don't,
you switch it. Yeah. But it's like kids today don't know any of that. People like who would watch it now. Even teenage, even the people house party age now, like people that work at the theater with us, the kids that work there, they have no reference to any of the phone stuff. No reference.
Well, there's no cell phones back then.
Exactly. No,
So
I know exactly.
They're just kind of like, it's just landlines. Oh God, remember those?
Yeah,
remember landlines?
When I was watching, he's like, I'm going to take this call upstairs, and the dad had to put the phone upside down. I was like, oh man,
I know.
that really ages this.
I know. I miss rotary phones.
I didn't really have that many rotary
Well,
phones.
who
Like
cares?
my grandmother had a rotary phone.
The only people that call on my main line are the robocalls. Honestly, it's just robocalls. It is.
Home
I
phone
never
business,
answer
right?
I never answer the phone anymore because call me on my cell phone because it's just nonstop robocalls or hey donation call. It's nuts.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Back then, though,
Back,
always had to answer the phone.
You
And
did.
back then, there's not even caller ID.
you didn't know who it was. You're like, ooh, who could it be? Yeah, exactly.
I'm waiting for another call.
Oh, I know.
I'll tie up my line. I got to go.
No. I never knew like the whole thing when like he got the pink slip, or not the pink slip, but like the detention slip where he was in trouble.
Right.
I didn't realize that they either mailed it to your house or they would get. I know the phone call, but like
I think they would mail like
that's a
they
quick
mail
mail.
That's quick. It is quick.
It's a
but
movie.
yeah.
It's fine, but like, see, like one of the things also with comedies in terms of just kind of like like when we did The Burbs, our first one, but this is our second. This is probably the second comedy we've done. Everything else has been
second, yeah.
So with comedies, it's like you can't really sit here and nitpick.
The logic of
You can't
Yeah.
because it's a comedy, so it's meant to be surreal. It's meant to be like just kind of like when at the end when the house when you talk about the roof falling off that lands on the
kills
cops in the mid
yep.
credits scene. Well, yeah, I mean that's just like there's no logic in that. And who cares?
It's an end cap to the film.
Exactly.
Right.
And quite frankly, they get what they deserve. Right?
Absolutely.
So there's stuff like with the slip coming in the mail or just kind of like all that stuff. You can't really get bogged down with like that wouldn't happen because it's a comedy.
Right.
So the comedy's main goal is to, even though it's a straight comedy, you have to root for your main characters. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
they have to make them relatable. You have to be able to connect with them, and they do that in this.
Absolutely,
We've talked about ad nauseum about the fact that it's about teenagers having a good time, and we both related to that when we watched it. So immediately we relate to them in terms of like just wanting to hook up.
They're probably the most relatable
Right.
teenagers in almost any party
Right.
movies I've
Right.
ever seen.
And I'm like, listen, like I'm not saying like they're good in it. They're funny. And
Right.
I'm talking about Kid and Play. They're funny. And if they took a couple acting classes, whatever, they're just being themselves. And I think that came through. So like immediately we rooted for them because we were like, yeah, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And then so all the comedy just it's funny. And you just have to make sure that your jokes hit, and they hit. So I mean, I guess people my age probably have seen this movie. I hope a lot of people. I mean, I hope people my age have seen this movie. It's a very funny movie. I would recommend that if you're going to see House Party, you should see House Party 1 and 2 together.
Should
Make it
we
a
have
double
done
feature.
that?
We should have. Make it a double feature. Watch 1 and 2 together. I do not remember 3. It's shame on me. I don't want to see 4 and 5 because it doesn't have Kid and Play in it. So I'm just going to say no to those. And if LeBron James and Spring Hill Entertainment do a new House Party, I will be in that theater to watch it.
They got to work on their Space Jam film first.
Whatever. I'll watch the Space Jam movie too. But like, but I will be in there for if they redo House Party because I enjoyed this one. I still like it, and I don't know. I guess, and you should put Kid and Play in it at some point. I know they're in their 50s now, but who cares?
It could be their kids.
They
or
probably
something
can't
like that.
dance. They probably can't really do the dance moves anymore, but they can be in the movie. Why can't they be in the movie? So yeah. So I mean, I know we talked about last cast about not the which I put in the stupid opening too, but like not in the we don't, do you revisit this movie? Yes. Yeah. But I would say people my age, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. You should see it. Kids now, I don't know if you want to know what 90s was like, watch that movie.
See, I think in terms for me, because it was just on Comedy Central and stuff, it wasn't like just readily available. I don't know if people my age, their parents were too old for it already. People my age would have only seen it on TV, maybe on like Comedy Central, if they even did. So if you want to get nostalgic and remember like what your childhood, what it felt like to be that age back then, but just what it felt like to be back then, you should give it a try. And I just think that the characters are still relatable. Just trying to have a good time. Even the kids nowadays trying to have a good time is probably relatable without having like all the extra like over the top stuff that movies about party movies and stuff like that really are.
Yeah, but like these party movies,
fun.
But these party movies usually have a group of like young actors that you see later on, like when you have Dazed and Confused, all those people in that movie, like Ben Affleck and that's all I can remember. Renee Zellweger in that? No, I'm wrong. No, she is. Is she? No, I'm thinking of Joey Lawrence. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Joey Lawrence Adams. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I'm old. So like, and then you have Cole Hauser in that and the London kid. You have all these young actors that, they go off and they start their careers. Then you Can't Hardly Wait that had a bunch of people in it that went off to start their careers. You have this movie has like, besides the Kid and Play, although, this kind of helped them in terms of their hip hop career, in terms of where they went. They were obviously didn't become huge film stars, but they still were huge hip hop artists. But then you have Tisha Campbell, who went on to do, Martin Lawrence, where she in the show with him.
Yep.
Martin Lawrence has become Martin Lawrence, who everyone knows about. Like, even Daryl Mitchell going on and doing a bunch of stuff. It's like they had young actors in this that went on. So it's like one of those party movies that is of that time that kind of maybe launched careers of some of these people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's definitely very similar to like all these other movies I was talking about.
Absolutely.
That's it. So House Party. It's awesome.
Definitely watch it.
I was trying to think of a line from it and I couldn't remember one. Oh, I didn't even do my favorite. I didn't even talk about so when they do when the bullies would always be like, you smell something when they do the pussy line. He's like, yeah. I thought that was funny.
Oh, you have said that.
I've said that at the theater. We would smell like pussy to a bunch of dicks. And they slam the door on them. Yeah. I don't know. That was great. I don't know.
Here he comes. He opens the door just to say that and has to close it.
Well, I love it that he's starting the line and they all say it and they slam the door. Yeah, exactly.
Look at that, man. Bunch of punk motherfuckers, man. Hey, Zilla, you smell something, man?
Definitely smell something out
You smell
here.
something, Stab?
I smell it.
I smell pussies.
Yo, man, forget this,
Look,
man.
get him when he's... So,
Well, yeah. Well, I guess we would smell like pussies to a bunch of dicks.
shit.
And then they're like, I'm gonna burn it down. Like, whoa, what?
Whoa, we're just talking about kicking some ass. I don't know about burning them up. Why we gotta burn them up? Why you gotta burn them up like that? Oh man, you're going too far. We're talking about them being pussies. Maybe you guys are pussies.
So it's plug time.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So I've got two different podcasts. This is Mike Butler here. Two different
It's
podcasts.
always you.
It is me. I've got Cracking One Open with Mike and Elise. We talked about it earlier, where it's about brews, news, and pop culture reviews. Every episode, we crack open a craft beer. We talk about the beer, where it's from, the type of beer it is. We talk a little bit about the brewery, and then as we sip on our beer, and after we've cracked it open, we discuss what's popular right now. We discuss Netflix, Hulu, HBO, anything on TV or even films that we've been watching.
Showtime.
Current things.
Do you talk Showtime? Amazon Prime.
Talk about Prime. Is there anything on Showtime I really want to watch right now?
Billions.
I do want to start watching Billions, and I want to finish.
You just listed off to me 5 things you want to watch. Now you're adding to it.
Billions is up there. I want to finish Black Sails, but that's Stars.
Oh, right.
I did watch the first season of
Didn't they cancel that?
that. It finished up. It wrapped up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's Cracking One Open with Mike and Elise. So if you enjoy beer, if you enjoy pop culture, definitely check that out. So I got Two Player Bros that I do with my brother Alex, where we talk about all things video games, reviews, previews, news, all systems: Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC, VR. You listen to us argue about stuff, bicker. It's a good time. That's Two Player Bros and Cracking One Open, both available wherever podcasts can be found. And you can hit us up on the social medias as well. Just look for those names.
I have 54 podcasts. So I'm going to start them off right now. One is called Mike Field. It's just about me, my life, what I do. I sit and talk. I stare at the wall and I just talk about things like, hey, I see that light. That light looks cool. I think I got to clean that. And then there's one, Mike Field Cuts the Grass. And I don't have any podcasts. I'm joking. So if you want to know what I do, I don't do much.
Nice.
That's not true. If you go to michaeldfield.com, you can see some of my work. I've got some, stuff, scripts I've written, some kind of scene excerpts from there. I've got some, you get to my videos from there. I got a couple web series you can check out, scenes from the movies, Puzzle Maker's Son.
Oh, you should. There's one guy in those. He's really good. He should be the star.
I agree. I agree. David Ian Lee is one of my favorite actors to work. Oh, you meant you? Oh, yes, Mike Butler. Sorry. But yeah. So you see, I lost my train of thought, man. I also have 2 books out of the Adam Parker mystery series. I have Adam Parker and the Radioactive Scout and Adam Parker and the High School Bully. Those are available on Amazon.com in ebook and paperback. I'm currently working on a new book, which is a compilation of stories that take place in the fictional town of Brookville, which I introduced in Adam Parker and the High School Bully. So look for that in stores 2024. So, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
we have to wrap this up.
If you like Forgotten Cinema.
Oh yes, please. I apologize. If you like us and you please rate, review, subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Stitcher. We are on Spotify and Google Play. We are everywhere. So we can't get more places without subscribers, without reviews or ratings. Please be kind when you review because Mike's very sensitive. He doesn't like when people tell him he's wrong about things.
No, that's weird because I'm never wrong. So.
See what I'm saying? See what I have to work with? Also, we do like feedback. We do like suggestions. We will take suggestions for any movies that you think we haven't covered that we should cover. We do have a running list of films that we keep adding to.
Oh, yeah.
I know that I just added Josie and the Pussycats and Mike doesn't like that. So that might be our next one at some point.
I'm kind of confused.
It's
why
good.
you put that.
Why are you confused? I told you it was funny. That's why I put it.
I haven't seen it, so that's fine.
I told you why I put it. It's funny.
Fine.
I'm not going to put something down. I don't think it's funny.
The other one you put down, I don't like.
What was the other one?
What Lies Beneath.
Oh, well, that's a good. You know what? Shame on you. Don't stare at me.
Come at me, bro.
We'll see you next week when we're going to be doing Reign of Fire from 2002, starring Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale acting the F out of the movie. And dragons. There's a lot of dragons. Before Game of Thrones.
Dragons are the most important part. You should say starring dragons and...
Starring dragons and Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. Who will win? Reign of Fire. All right, so as always, thanks for listening. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Hey.
What? Really? That's your stupid thing?
No, I'll find something else.
I wouldn't do that just yet. 'Cause your ass is mine.